My mother had a troubling pattern of relationships, cycling through men as if they were mere objects to be used and discarded. Each new boyfriend came with false promises and a fresh excuse for the financial troubles that plagued our home. The utilities would often be shut off, plunging us into darkness, both literally and metaphorically. She painted my father as a deadbeat who had abandoned us, a narrative I swallowed whole for years. In her eyes, he was the villain, while she played the role of the struggling single mother, a title she wielded like a badge of honor. When I turned 18, I had finally built up my savings, working tirelessly since I was 16. I took on fast food jobs and odd gigs, each paycheck meticulously set aside for my escape. A chance to break free from the cramped, suffocating environment I had known all my life. I believed my mother when she insisted she would help manage my money, convinced that she would guide me on the right path. Trusting her was my greatest folly. Just days before my 18th birthday, I stumbled upon the shocking truth. Every single penny I had worked hard for was gone. My mother had siphoned off my savings to fund her latest relationship, leaving me with nothing. To add to the betrayal, she coldly informed me that I had a week to leave our home. "You're an adult now. Time to make it on your own," she said, as if my years of toil and her betrayal were nothing more than a passing inconvenience. I stood there, the weight of her words crashing down on me, a mixture of disbelief and anger swirling in my chest. With nothing but a duffel bag and a heart full of rage, I left, vowing never to let her manipulate me again. The years that followed were challenging, filled with hardship and struggle. I faced the world alone, but I was determined. I secured a job, worked diligently, and gradually began to carve out a life for myself. The real turning point, however, came when I discovered the truth about my father. He wasn't the deadbeat my mother had painted him to be. He had been trying to reach out to me my entire life. My mother's web of lies unraveled further when I learned that he had passed away from cancer before I could meet him. He left behind an estate, substantial wealth that was all mine, with not a cent set aside for my mother. When my mother resurfaced, I was unprepared for her audacity. One day, I received a text from her, casual and friendly. "Hey, sweetheart, it's been so long. We should catch up. Come by for dinner." I couldn't help but laugh at her attempt to reconnect, and I decided to play along, intrigued by her sheer nerve. As I entered her house, it was as if no time had passed. She acted as if we were a picture-perfect family, exchanging smiles and reminiscing about our past. But I could sense the tension beneath her cheerful facade. Then she got to the crux of the matter. "I heard about your father's passing," she said, feigning sympathy. "It must be so hard for you." I nodded, waiting with bated breath for what would come next. "I was thinking," she continued, her voice dripping with expectation, "since you're doing so well, maybe it's time you moved back home. I could use the company, and you know we always took care of each other." Her words ignited a fire within me. I could hardly contain my disbelief. "Take care of each other?" I shot back. "You know what else is tough? Being 18, homeless, and broke because your own mother stole everything from you." I watched as her face flushed crimson, the smugness fading as the reality of my words sank in. "That was a misunderstanding, sweetheart," she stammered, scrambling to backtrack. But I pressed on, my voice firm and unwavering. "You made your choice 6 years ago, and now I'm making mine. I'm not moving back. I'm not giving you a dime. And if you ever contact me again, you'll regret it." Her expression was a mix of shock and disbelief. "You're really going to turn your back on your own mother?" she asked, her voice tinged with desperation. I chuckled, standing up to leave. "You did it first." As I walked out, I felt an exhilarating sense of liberation wash over me. For the first time in my life, I was free from her grasp, and it felt incredible. A few weeks later, I received a call from an unknown number. Intrigued, I answered, only to hear my mother's voice crackling through the line. "Hey, it's me," she said, sounding desperate and broken. "Please, I have nowhere to go. He left me. I lost the house. I closed my eyes, taking a deep breath to steady myself. 6 years ago, I might have felt a twinge of empathy, but now, that's not my problem. I replied coldly before hanging up. I blocked her number, sealing off that chapter of my life, and finally felt the weight of her influence lift. I was ready to move on, unshackled from the past that had once held me captive.